Yeah, I totally forgot because I think we talked about our ages last time. But when I asked you, because you said it was going to be your birthday today and you said 34, I was like, holy shit, that's forgot about that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Yep.
that's
amazing.
the best part
I'm
about
30,
that too is you have,
34 going on 100.
yeah, right, exactly, you old
Yeah.
curmudgeon bastard. No,
Yeah.
we have, it's like you have all these years ahead of you now that you can actually could write a book if you wanted to, or all these things. I mean, you could start use that letter as a base to write a whole book. I would imagine. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested, especially after they watch this show. Yeah, exactly. So
That
I
is
know that you
so.
sent Owen some messages because I think he was reading or he posted something on his Instagram or something that you had sent him that kind of prompted you to write this letter. Um, but how long have you been looking into all this stuff? Is this something you just dove into recently, or have you been looking into this for like a very long time?
Yeah. So when I was 20 years old, um, I had a horrific car accident. So just to summarize that, um, at the time I worked at Greenpeace, I was a little, hippie stoner, and I was out there saving forests and polar bears, right? And I was driving home from work, and there was a woman and her boyfriend were on PCP and heroin, and they were driving, and I'm driving this way, and it was on a highway, and they hopped over onto oncoming traffic at a break in the cement median. And I was driving home and I saw them. I was in the fast lane, so I got over to the middle lane. They got to the middle lane, and I was the first car in the line of cars behind me. And I'm doing about 50 and they're doing about 50. And I had just passed a car full of, like, a van full of little kids. I had seen car seats and stuff. And 50 miles coming at each other, you close that distance really quick. It was probably maybe an eighth of a mile in between us, and that passed in a few seconds. But at the very last second, I was like, all right, I guess it's me. And just whipped my steering wheel to the side, put my car sideways in front of that car, and they smashed into me, spun me a 360. I smashed into the cement median. So like my body's whipping everywhere, right? And then I finally, like, I cracked my head on the pillar of the car. So this was when I was 20 years old. Fast forward about 6 months, I walked away from that accident without any visible damage other than a bruised shoulder from the seatbelt. But about 6 months later, I started developing this just debilitating headache, and it didn't go away. And after a month of this, I wasn't able to go to work anymore. I wasn't able to do anything. I was just laying in bed all day long, just writhing in pain. So I started seeing a chiropractor, and they said, you've got all these injuries, like your neck is messed up. And so that obviously brought on a bit of depression at the time, because I was like, I just went from being 20 and just crushing. At Greenpeace, I was the best canvasser that Greenpeace had ever had, literally breaking records in all of Greenpeace USA history. They were getting ready to fly me out to Washington, D.C. to completely rewrite the training program for Greenpeace, because my signups were so crazy and people were actually staying on. They weren't signing up and then canceling a month later, right? Like, I was doing something right, and I was inspiring people to stay on. And so I went from that to just being laid up on a couch. So some depression started to settle in. And then fast forward maybe another 6 months, and I thought I was going crazy. I started sliding into this feeling really disassociated with the world. I didn't feel like I was here. I felt like I was watching a movie. I was watching things happen around me, but something inside of me didn't feel right. And I didn't feel like I had control of my own body at that point. There was this huge disconnect going on. And that continued for years. And I won't even get into it, because I'll just say it's the closest that I could ever say is like hell on earth. I mean, being that detached from your body, having no control over it, both physically, because all of the nerve damage done in my neck, it's in your neck, it goes through your whole body. So nothing feels like it's felt your whole life. But then on top of that, you have the emotional aspect as well. and the mental of being depressed and having this anxiety that you don't know where it's coming from. Because at the time I was 20, I didn't have any idea of the mind body connection or spirituality or any of this stuff. I was just a young, naive kid. And so I felt like I was going crazy. I couldn't feel emotions. I didn't feel like I was sleeping. I'd sleep for 10 hours and wake up and just be in the same state of panic that I fell asleep in. And this continued for 5 years until my wife and my mother finally talked me into going to see a counselor. And it was to the point where I was legitimately suicidal in that time. Because when you feel like, I don't know, it sounds like cliche and kind of dramatic, but it's really true. Like my wife, who was my girlfriend back then, would tell me that she would love me, and I just felt dead inside. I felt nothing. And I was like, I have no joy being around children anymore. I have no joy being around my family. I'm not playing guitar anymore. I'm not drawing anymore. I'm not doing anything except for sitting here all day, just spiraling in panic, constant fight or flight.